Regal Movie Masters. Unlimited.
This is the Regal Movie Masters Unlimited podcast where we indiscriminately watch every goddamn movie that comes out at the local theaters. This time around we got a doubleheader and some change. A Fabelmans and Bones and All are what we're talking about. Your movie masters today are Justine.
Hello.
Brent.
Hello.
Dylan.
What's up?
He's coming in hot. He's
Real
coming in
hot.
hot, everyone. That's how you know it's going to be a good app. And I'm calling. All right, so first up, we got Fabelmans, Steven Spielberg's, I assume, semi-autobiographical story about his upbringing and a family, whether they are real or not, called the Fabelmans. And it takes place in the early 60s. I guess it spans time, right? It's late 50s, early 60s.
Sure.
An entire adolescence of a young man is covered in this film. And I liked it a lot. I found myself strangely affected by this film.
Saw it twice.
Yeah, I did. I was happy to.
When the fuck did you find time to watch it a second time?
Yesterday.
Oh, so Justine, you've seen it recently?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
see,
saw
so
it.
I didn't even know you went to go watch it again.
No, like we watched it. We watched Devotion after it, and that was my second movie of the day. The first being Fabelmans.
2 long movies.
Yeah.
Fabelmans didn't seem too long though.
You know, it really changed my perspective on filmmaking. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think possibly like as a result of sort of being a little grounded in 70s movies as my metric for what good movies are, you know, I think I look to like realism in dialogue and presentation as the pinnacle of serious movie making, you know, like when dialogue feels natural, I'm like, oh, this is a real movie. And when it seems kind of silly and movie-like, I'm like, oh, this is a silly movie. The dialogue and everything in this is very movie-like. It's very actorly.
Yeah.
It's like, you know.
Old Hollywood.
Yeah. I think you only really see that now in bad movies or like TV of the week. I associate that kind of tone of like, I got a problem. What's your problem? You know what my problem is.
Like soap opera.
Yeah, exactly. I just can't do it. You have to do it. I believe in you. You believe in me? Yes. I'm like, okay, I'm watching like, you know, a Hallmark film or something when people are talking like all actorly like that. And then, you know, if it's more grounded and toned down, it's like, oh, this is art. But I think this movie really champions that style. And I think what happens is I watch movies that do this bad. And so I'm like, oh, this is something that bad movies do is it's melodrama or whatever. But when you watch this movie, it's like there's just so much conviction behind it, both with the actors and the directors, that it's like, oh no, this is just a stylistic choice. I get the sense that Spielberg feels like movies should be different than real life. They should be bigger. They should be more dramatic.
It's almost like you're describing Amblin Entertainment movies.
Apparently, I never really connected it.
Yeah. If you
like-
go back, you'll notice.
Yeah, I was just, you know, I associate like E.T. and stuff like that as
Yep.
just like part of my youth or whatever. And like he did the Indiana Jones movies and
Mhm.
stuff. And I always figured those were like timepieces or they're genre exercises, you know, so they have to be like that. But yeah, I think this guy just thinks that movies should be like this. And I kind of respect it. Or I guess I respect it when it's well done. And I think this was like really well done.
What else has he done that's not so like geared toward a younger audience?
Oh, I mean, Schindler's List.
Okay, well, that's different.
Yeah, I know, right?
That
But,
one, yeah, not
But
so
I
much.
mean, it seems more like a cartoon quality of acting, very like
Yeah.
animated, really simple. That's what it feels like it's for a younger audience.
Yeah, but I think that, like the old Hollywood style and all that, kind of comes from the stage, you know?
Yeah.
And I actually was noting that a lot the second time around watching it. A lot of the ways the characters were standing in relation to each other and stuff was like a stage play. And like someone who has a dominant point over the other person will be standing and the other person will be sitting down. And, you know, what you would see in like movie of the week, melodrama, like someone turns their back on a person and puts their head in their hands and it's very dramatic. But that's That's theater. And I think this is a reflection of that style more.
I also was thinking, like you were talking about, how it's kind of like a stage play where, people don't cross in front of each other or whatever.
Right.
That's kind of like filmmaking 101 or theater 101.
Yeah.
And that part of the movie is about, the kid learning how to do this stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's that scene at the end when David Lynch tells him, the horizon on the top is good, horizon on the bottom is good, the horizon in the middle is boring.
Now get the fuck out of my office.
Yeah. And then you see the camera like later and the horizon is in the middle and it's like, oh, and then
Yeah,
it, like,
just really quick.
shifts. Yeah.
It's the
That
last
was
shot of the
awesome.
movie.
Yeah.
So you're kind of seeing it the way that he is learning it. So it's probably very obvious that it's being done in a style that seems like 101.
A
film
meta
101.
commentary on
Yeah.
the craft of filmmaking.
Mhm.
Interesting point.
I didn't like it as much as I think you wanted me to like it.
Yeah, I'll admit I have a weird soft spot.
I was annoyed kind of by how one-dimensional the characters seemed, especially the mom. I don't know, she is the version of manic pixie dream girl that this like little kid is envisioning.
Right.
And then the dad is just super calm, super nice, good at his job, trying to take care of his family, never does anything wrong. And it's just like, okay, these are one note characters. There's the sisters who are just kind of there.
Yeah.
There's the uncle who's a quirky uncle that comes in.
Oh, he comes in like a goddamn tornado.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts when he's like, "You never seen a person grieve before? Rip your clothes and get on the floor." But there's like the bullies, and then there's the girl, his girlfriend.
Yeah.
That whole Jesus stuff was kind of funny, but then it was kind of like far.
Yeah.
It wasn't like she had dimension. It was like, here's this weird thing about this girl. So that's why I was wondering, how autobiographical is this? Because all these people seem very fake. That's what I'm talking about with the cartoon quality of it. It's just everybody's very one note and things are happening quickly. And like, I get it, but it's the same way that I wouldn't be, invested in a cartoon.
Yeah.
I'm not invested in this except for the interesting part. The only thing that rang true to me and that was enjoyable was him making the movies. And it's just like, there's this group of kids and they like to do this. He's really talented. People are amazed by like how he figures out how to do stuff. Dealing with school and like kid stuff, that was all right. And then once you get into the adult stuff, it gets really flat. And I know that, Colin, you were trying to tell me like, well, that's kind of how kids remember stuff.
I buy
or
into that
something.
fully. Yeah.
Yeah, like impressionistic, I guess. I think this movie's so stylistic that I kind of can appreciate that it's like, okay, well, everyone's acting weird and the time is moving weird and the characters are weird. I think they found a tonal consistency to where it doesn't seem flat, like you're saying, or maybe there's just a momentum to the story that they're telling where you kind of forgive maybe the bluntness of it all.
Let me introduce this notion to you because I think I saw something that wasn't readily apparent to you, and that's they may have even covered this in the movie, but when you are an extraordinarily talented director like him, I think the way that his brain is wired is not to go too deep. Oh yeah, he has the talk with Uncle Boris about the life of an entertainer or somebody that, Colin, you probably remember it better. Like when he's talking about the hardships.
Family, art, and he crosses his fists like an X, and then he just tears them apart. It'll tear you apart.
Yeah. So when you're a naturally born artist, you are not going to look upon your upbringing, your adolescence, and even parts of your adulthood with as much attention to detail or nuance because you're still constantly honing your craft. And so you don't lend as much dynamics to the things outside of the craft itself. That was a device to illustrate that. But then again, that device goes back to a lot of his early movies. So
yeah, that's you can't, in this case, separate the art from the artist without thinking that it's kind of wasted time. Because it's autobiographical, it's about all the aspects of him growing up, but it's like them spending that much time on like the woman dancing in front of the car. It didn't add stuff to me, and you can kind of tell I don't know anything about him, but it's like, wow, he was a mama's boy.
Right.
And so that's
Yeah.
part of why I didn't like that the dad is just so docile and
Well, I will say, in counter to the father being like a perfect father figure, if he had his way, we don't get Steven Spielberg movies. I mean, his flaw in the movie is that he's constantly chipping away at the kid's craft.
he's still helping him do it, buying him the stuff.
right.
and
He loves
he's
his
not
son,
being,
ultimately.
and he's
Yeah.
not like not allowing him to do the stuff.
But I wouldn't say, if I was to craft like a true saccharine kind of father, I wouldn't be writing him backbiting
You'd be
his
making
stuff.
Negging the son.
You'd be making too one note a character. This is like a
Yeah.
perfect dad in that he just wants what's best for his son, what he thinks would
Yeah.
be best for him, and what he considers success. Is like you move around, you go to where you can make the most impact, and where you can
Right.
really get people to understand what technology can do and how it can improve things. This is really what he believes would be good for his kid.
But
He
he was so focused on his work that he was kind of dragging his family around into situations where they weren't really having a
But
good
he
time.
was also telling them the whole time, it's up to your mother. I'm not going to
And that
move
was
you
the
guys
complicated-
around if she doesn't want to. And so she was just like going with it. They were in California.
No, they
because-
were in New Jersey, I think.
Okay.
Jersey,
well, they're somewhere
Arizona,
with
California.
Seth Rogen.
Yes.
And then they moved to Arizona with Seth Rogen,
Yes.
which she is down for. And then they move somewhere else, and all she wants is for the guy to be able to come with them. But he
Northern
doesn't.
California.
Yeah, to
IBM,
California.
yeah.
She is okaying all this stuff. So he's not really dragging the family around. She's just kind of going with it and then being sad about her mistakes.
I think there was enough flaws in the character of the father to make it not complete Leave It to Beaverland.
Yeah, and I think there's even a scene where I think they're in the kitchen, like after like the separation,
Right.
where Spielberg and the father are in the kitchen. They're kind of having a talk, and the dad's kind of confessing somewhat to, I could have been a better husband.
He was so in love with her because she was something that was novel to him. And I think really he's just lamenting that he couldn't be the kind of guy that would get her to stay.
I mean,
Yeah.
he
Not
also,
that he didn't think he
Okay.
was being a good guy, but it's just like he understood that that wasn't the match that
Couldn't
he
contain her.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why he's sad when he sees her having fun at a barbecue, a picture. It's a bummer for him because he's like, well, that guy will never be me, or he'll never be that guy.
Right. I see what you're saying with like the flat characters, but I think because there's such like a subplot of like cowboy movies and genre films and the good guys wearing white, I think there's an acknowledgement of that approach to sort of point out like, yeah, I'm telling this kind of flat story, to where I don't think it was a shortcoming so much as it was a stylistic choice.
Justine, do you like the movie Back to the Future?
I do. Yeah.
I felt like when I was watching it, I felt a lot of parallels to that, like just in terms of, especially like the adolescent part.
But
So
that movie's funny.
Okay, so yeah, so that's what puts it over the top, that it was also funny on top
Yeah.
of like
I
those
think that's
dynamics.
also, maybe there's a lot more structure as far as plot in Back to the Future. Maybe that's kind of where this movie falls short for
Sure.
you. Is it's not like, we got to do this thing, and while you're on the way to do the thing, you can have bad guys be like, hey, I'm a pirate. Don't do that thing. You don't expect
Yeah.
that pirate's life to be fleshed out because the film is so focused on going from point A to point B. Whereas this film isn't so much a point A to point B, unless point B is post-education and point A is like childhood. And like
Yeah.
the plot in between is your parents get divorced. I don't know. Like the characters are written in a way that you would see in an Indiana Jones movie where it's like, come on, Indy, we gotta go.
Except
Like,
there's not
no-
a point.
no MacGuffin to get, or no like end plot.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe that's kind of why this movie stood out so much to me, because it wasn't like a super linear plot, but it acts like it is. It's acting like it is acting as if there is like Death Star to be blown up, and there's princesses and aliens to introduce, and it's going at that pace, except it's just a kid growing up in his wacky ass family.
Yeah.
I think I appreciate the pacing and stuff being kind of tied to childhood memories,
Mhm.
the way it's like this happens and that happens and this happens, it is justified in the sense of it's kind of how you remember shit as a kid. It's like we lived here and then we lived there and then there was this guy. I had this weird interaction with my uncle. Like I don't know exactly how hard and fast the autobiographical portion is, but I felt that the medium was suited to this recollection of childhood memories the way that it was. And I think this movie really did a great job of conveying this sense of being like emotionally out of depth as a kid, you know? I've seen a lot of movies like Stand By Me, let's say, where it's like we're coming of age and we're kind of in over our heads in terms of what we're seeing. We're being exposed to stuff that maybe isn't appropriate for kids. I grew up watching a lot of movies like that, but I think this movie, maybe instead of having it be like dead bodies and, you know, fucking pirate treasure ships like in Goonies or some shit, it's like just weird emotional family drama.
What was your take on the high school girlfriend?
Yeah, you don't think of like your romantic entanglements in adolescence and your memories of it, you know, reflect on it by, you know, oh, well, here's this whole totality of a person and their whole human being. It's just like, what the fuck was that?
I appreciated that.
This person just grabbed me and took me someplace, and then I was involved, and yeah, I proposed marriage. What the fuck?
But
Like,
so much happens in that. You know what I mean? Like in those
Yeah.
moments where like, yeah, like you feel completely out of control, but so much happens that guides the rest of the journey. Like he got that really nice editing
right.
machine out of that, you know? And
Right,
you're just
right.
like, okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah, again, you're just a little bit out of sorts emotionally. You're in and over your head. I picked up what he was putting down. I think he did a good job conveying his experience as a kid, and I related to certain elements of it. And I don't know. After seeing it twice, I'm fully in. Appreciated this film.
It actually was pretty hard and fast
Yeah.
to his childhood.
They had a monkey?
I don't know about that.
See, that's what I'm
particular-
talking about.
See, that one maybe not. But yeah, like Seth Rogen is on record saying that Spielberg was often crying on the set
Oh,
a
Jesus.
lot.
Hey man, cheer up.
You doing okay over there? Like,
Hey, bud.
hey, I brought you a Donkey Kong. Anyway, yeah, like you know, because so much of it was his actual childhood,
Yeah.
and so yeah, he was breaking down a lot, which maybe speaks to what you're talking about. Like kind of like it's him having to reflect on his childhood, and it brought out a lot. The cast also had access to Spielberg's home movies, photos, and personal recollections,
Yeah.
both before the filming and then during. So I mean, he allowed them to do a deep dive while he was also doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, if that's what you pulled out from it, I think that's a pretty astute observation on your part.
And even if it wasn't necessarily like beat for beat the life, like, or even if you don't just take the autobiographical part out of the equation, it's like a very interesting portrayal of a family, like a family dynamic. There's one part, and like I know I'm dominating the mic, but I'm excited about this film. Anyways, I caught this the second time around when the mom's mom is dying and they're in the hospital, right? You have the dad, the engineer type, the Riddler. He's looking at the heart monitor thing, just making little beeps, you know? He's looking at the machine. The mom is like inconsolably like curled up on her mother's body as it's dying. And the kid, de facto Spielberg, is just looking at the pulse on her neck. The pulse stops, and like the kid realizes it because the pulse stops on the neck and the lady dies. You know, he's looking at it from afar. The dad he's mechanically minded, so he's looking at the machine, and the mom is like, oh, is she doing better? Her eyes open, you know, because she's like just all kind of intuition and emotion. And just to have a small tableau like that, you kind of learn everything about this family dynamic. And it's interesting, again, taking away the autobiographical element, like just to have a kid be interested in film when his dad is the fucking, you know, all technology hemisphere and the mom's all artistic and creative hemisphere. And this kid is, and like film is the perfect blend of that, right? Because you're dealing with technology, you're dealing with reverse engineering effects and stuff. And you're also telling stories and, you know, getting to the core of human emotion. And again, you take out any semblance of reality in relation to the film, and all that stuff rings true, even though it's so fantastical, both in how it's told and like the actual events that happen. Again, I'm smitten. I'm smitten with this film. Dylan, you're quiet.
When I was watching it, it was probably like one of the worst feelings I had. Like my body was like giving out.
Yeah.
I noticed that you sat in a corner of the theater by yourself.
Yeah,
I thought maybe you didn't like me anymore.
No, I was legit like, you guys, I'm gonna have to like sit here just in case something happens with my body, 'cause I might throw up. And so like I was just going in and out. Reading my notes, I like can piece together what was happening in the film and like what I remember. But let's just say, everyone, I was not enjoying myself.
Can't talk about your notes without giving us some
You want
notes.
the notes now? The Fabelmans, November 27th, 2022, 1:19 a.m.
All right.
I don't feel good. Why did I get popcorn and soda? Man, I feel like absolute shit. I might actually throw up. I'm trying to lay down in the chairs. I'm in so much pain. Rigor mortis is kicking in. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die during the Fabelmans. Fuck. I really don't feel good. I think I'm hallucinating. Fuck. I might actually throw up. I think I am crying. Am I crying out of emotions or do I have like the chills? I don't even know what's going on. He's making a movie? Why did I get popcorn? I passed out for a second. What happened? I wake up and the guy from the Will and Grace is PE coach for some reason. Shit, I fell back asleep. He's dating someone now? Fuck, my head is spinning. Quote, life's nothing like the movies, unquote. Spielberg. Does he say that or the bully says it?
Shit, I think the bully's like, life's not like the
bully.
movies. And then he goes, but you still got the girl. And then he flips him off. And the kid flips him off.
See,
Good movie.
Yeah, see, Spielberg. Spielberg lens flare. Is that Steven Spielberg without facial hair? Oh, it's David Lynch. He had to talk for me to realize that. Man, I feel like absolute shit. I like this movie. 5 out of 5.
That was like the funniest line, I thought. He's like, watch yourself, Fabelman, or we're not going to be cool anymore. And he's like,
Don't tell anybody.
Oh, yeah,
Tell
that I
anybody
cried.
that I got
Got upset.
emotional. Oh yeah, that I got upset.
yeah, unless I make a movie about this.
Wink.
Fred, am I crazy? Am I the only? I feel like between Justine's indifference and Dylan's delirium, am I crazy for like?
I don't
this
think you're
movie?
crazy at all.
Okay.
I think like for the reasons you cited, it may have been made for you.
It's weird. Because no one wanted to see this movie
No, I didn't
based
want to
on
see
the
it at all.
trailers. These are bad trailers.
Yeah, I think they should recut the trailer immediately on this movie.
But I don't know what the hell you do because it's just a story about a weird ass family.
I think you maybe cut it more toward the family aspect than the filmmaking aspect.
Yeah.
Although I will say that the filmmaking aspect was cool.
Super
as
cool.
hell.
Yeah, when he
That's
pokes
my
the
favorite
holes in the
part.
thing
Easily. Yeah.
And the whole scene where they're filming that war movie,
Right.
And you're seeing how they're doing
was
like
awesome.
the landmines and the
Yeah.
grenades and the blood packs and stuff. Even the part where he gets that kid to get emotional.
Right, right.
The whole process is a cool aspect of
Or
it.
the stagecoach where the dust is.
Yeah.
And she's like, no more dust.
That fucking kid is such a good actor.
Truly suffering for art. Yeah. So this movie, it actually goes, like the concept for it goes back to 1999. He originally wanted to call it I'll Be Home. And the only reason it actually happened is because of the lockdown, the COVID era. He sat down and actually started writing it. It's actually Spielberg's first time taking a crack at a screenplay since AI.
Oh, fuck. I forgot about AI.
Decades
That shit was
back.
off the fucking rails.
There you go.
See, that's he needs to focus on a mortal life. Because I feel like, the stretch from a childhood to adolescence is coverable in a movie, whereas the span of millennia and the intervention of aliens is maybe a little bit too far.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't think that your reaction is overblown in any capacity. I think a lot of people that went and saw it, like in my circle, it's the same deal. They're like, oh, God, I gotta go see Fabelmans. You're like, oh my God, that was really, really good. I'm like, yeah, wasn't it?
Strange.
Yeah, I didn't anticipate it at all. David Lynch. Spielberg is just a massive Lynch fan. In fact, like he wanted to direct season 2, episode 1 of Twin Peaks and just
Okay.
vied for it, and Lynch was like, no, I got this.
Yeah.
So in order to get Lynch in the film, Spielberg went to Laura Dern, who he directed in all the Jurassic movies, and said, hey, you're tight with him. Do what you got to do to get him. And so Laura Dern just kept calling him over and over and over. And eventually Lynch just said, well, I my one condition is that you have a lot of Cheetos on the set, and I will
Stop
be there.
it.
Yeah.
I'm a quirky man.
Yeah.
I'm an unusual fella.
Yes. And his only other thing was he wanted his suit to be sent to him a week before filming so that he could break it in. So it looks like he'd been wearing it
All
for
right.
a while.
Appreciate that.
Which is pretty cool. The other thing to note about this movie is it's probably one of the last two collaborations between Steven Spielberg and composer John Williams. The next one will be the next installment of the Indiana Jones series. But Williams is going to focus on writing concert music at this point in his life. He's going to be 91 in February.
Jesus.
Time to step back and
do
what you 100% want to do. Spielberg's of course got other projects that he's doing, and he wanted Williams involved. Williams said, the hardest thing in my life is to tell Steven Spielberg no.
Yeah, I know.
After all these years of making gold together. Yeah.
All right. I think we've talked about this. I've talked about this enough. So, Fabelman, how many candles on the menorah are we lighting for the Fabelman? For me, it's this is 9, and we're gonna have 8 crazy nights with the Fabelman. I say light those candles. Justine?
Out of 8.
How many yeah, you could have an extra one. You need to light the candle to see the other candles.
I see what you did.
Yes.
I'm gonna give it 5 candles.
Okay.
Respect.
There's still parts of it that are kind of cute, and like I said, the parts of it where they're making the movies is cool to see. I think without knowing stuff about Steven Spielberg or knowing that this is about him, you're not gonna get that much out of it otherwise.
Interesting. I'll go the full 8, but in the incorrect order that they were in the film. Minor detail there, but yeah.
Shot well, looked great. I'd go 8.
Almost died. 8.
Yeah.
All
Well
right.
acted.
So next up, we have also a period piece, a coming of age period piece with a twist. We have Bones and All, which is directed by Luca Guadagnino. Yeah. He's the same guy. He did the Suspiria remake. He did Call Me By Your Name. And this is a movie that takes place an arbitrary year in the 80s. We're not going to get too pedantic like one does and try to figure out why there's a Fugazi shirt present. We're not going to do that kind of thing. It's somewhere in the 80s, and that's fine. This gal, played by Taylor Russell. What did you say she was in?
She was in the Escape Room movie.
That's so fucking hard.
Tournament of
She's
Champions.
also in Lost in Space, which I actually really like.
Okay. So the TV show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Well,
so you
like
know, this
Netflix.
is her third movie in 3 years to feature a poster where the lead characters, their foreheads are touching on the poster. The other 2 are words on bathroom walls and waves
All right.
for those scoring at home.
And Paul Atreides, right? Is it Paul
Chalamet.
Atreides?
Yeah.
Yeah, T. Shals, just holding it down, and a goddamn world-class performance. The show stealing Mark Rylance.
Yes, as Sully.
Yeah. So I don't know how to talk about this film without saying that there's like 2 equally loud flavors happening at one time. This is like garlic bread and Sour Patch Kids. Like just very distinct flavors. The very like pensive, like pretty people in their late 20s to early 30s pretending to be 16-year-old teenagers or 18-year-old teenagers.
She does make a point of letting you know that she is exactly
20 times in
18
this
years
movie
old.
she says she's 18.
Yeah.
And anyways, she's 30 or whatever. Anyways, adults playing teenagers, looking way too pretty for any teenager to look, and staring out windows a lot and staring at each other.
Sitting in fields.
Yeah,
That's
this
important.
an aggressively A24 toned modern coming of age romance, and a fucked up like Stephen King-esque lore filled world of like quasi vampiric cannibals. And it's a cannibal road trip movie.
Yeah.
And these crazy kids are falling in love because they meet each other and they both have this cannibalism
Yeah,
disease.
That's
And
that's
they-
why they fall in love.
And they just start munching people and meeting other munchers.
They're crunching head munching.
This is a number muncher reboot that we needed. Yeah, I think I walked away liking this movie ultimately, but goddamn was this just odd seeing, because it's not unusual to see this kind of take on like vampire movies, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite movies is Martin from George Romero, which is the ultimate like vampire movie that isn't a vampire movie. And what was that fucking movie we saw recently? It's
Raw?
The Following,
Oh.
like a kind of art house, someone who thinks they're a vampire, high genre art house twist on vampirism, basically.
The Transfiguration.
The Transfiguration, god damn it. Yeah, it's a very niche subgenre, but there is I think precedence for this kind of retooling or retelling of a horror element, that isn't played as horror. It's played more as, art house cinema.
Have you ever seen Badlands from 1973? Okay.
I've heard great things though.
Yeah, Badlands classic, but it's also like I watched it a couple of years ago and I was like, kind of dated.
Yeah.
I feel like I could use a refresh, and I think this movie was that refresh. Granted, they added the cannibal vampire aspect.
Right.
I think that's what it needed for modern audiences versus what Badlands originally was, which was just a romp around the middle of the country between two teenagers falling in love and going on a crime spree.
Right.
So yeah, that you kind of like replace the proper crime spree with, devouring human beings.
Yeah.
And God, this is almost sacrilege, but I feel like the love story ended up being better in this movie.
Then in Badlands?
Yeah, than
Gotcha.
in Badlands. Yeah. Yeah, when you said it's like kind of like that A24 looking at landscapes
Yeah,
and
yeah.
looking out windows. It's more Badlands to me than it is A24. But
Okay.
yeah.
I loved the lore of this. I
Yeah.
felt like a kind of a Stephen King story where it's like you're learning about this world as the characters are learning about this world, and you're running into crazy fucks left and right. And like I was fascinated by that. I love that subgenre that I'm talking about, and I like this approach to horror that I'm talking about. I'm sorry. I'm getting to this bitter old man phase.
Uh-huh.
I don't give a fuck about teenagers. Period. End it there. Anything having to do with coming
You
of
like
age
get
or
off my
high
lawn
school,
shit?
I don't fucking care about your feelings. If the character is like 18, your brain isn't formed yet. Like, this isn't interesting to me.
I love that you're taking this
sorry.
turn. This is great.
I'm down if it's like, Goonies or something like,
Yeah.
we're a bunch of kids and we're on an adventure. Fine. I'm not
Teenagers? Fuck them.
I mean, teenagers in love. I'm just a regular ass fucking teenager and I'm having regular ass romantic interests. I don't give a fuck. So that part of the movie, I don't know. It's boring to me.
Yeah, but they do enough to.
Sure. Yeah. That's the
yank
other
you out of
shit.
it.
It's the
Yeah.
other stuff
Yeah.
that's going on that I'm engaged in.
It's the Sour Patch Kids that you're engaged in.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's why I said like Badlands is kind of aged out. Because now when I watch it, I'm kind of like, it's kind of
Where's the
boring.
fucking Sour Patch Kids?
Yeah, where's the Sour Patch Kids? Yeah.
It's so on the nose of like a coming of age romance movie.
Yeah.
Like it's so that
Yes.
that you need something that is way left field
Yeah.
to break it up.
Something
And
that feels fresh.
yeah, the combination of the two, very grounded, well-tread storytelling and some wacky shit, and they're both going on in equal volumes. I don't know. It was a unique experience. I appreciated it.
Dylan, did you check this movie out?
Yeah, this is the same day I saw Fabelmans. Somehow
You saw it before?
I saw it like an hour.
It's such a fucking sick doubleheader.
I saw Bone and All, and I was
Yeah.
like, fine, I was okay, but I was still like kind of cold.
Right.
And then I went in my car with the heater on and ate like a dinner that I brought in a lunchbox in
Yeah.
my car. Because I was like, I have to be back here in like 20 minutes to watch the
This
fucking
is
thing.
listen. You think we just call this shit Regal Movie Masters? Like we're putting on airs here. Listen to this guy's story.
No, this is our
Yeah.
life.
This motherfucker's
Please
in the
understand.
trenches
Yeah,
here.
I'm dying
Listen-
in the car with the
Yeah.
fucking heater on, and I'm just like, fuck it. I have to be back here in 10 minutes to watch another 3-hour movie. and I already don't feel good, so I'm just gonna try and eat hot food and to go back inside. So I'm like, I watched Bones and All, fine, but like started to pass out towards the end, and that's my experience with that movie.
I've done double headers, but I've always made sure that they're like more like hour and a half, a piece. I didn't realize you did 2 of the longer movies we've seen all year.
Yeah, well,
Back to
maybe
back.
not 10 minutes exactly, like 30 minutes in between.
I feel like you're a little more, by a little more, I mean just tolerant at all towards like coming of age stories and like,
Love them.
I don't know, teen romances.
Love it.
Is it fair to call it that? Yeah, you like that kind of stuff.
Okay, I don't like teen romance. But
I don't know. Fucking what?
I like
Some
those.
people do.
I like anything. I love love. You know.
Okay.
I love love.
I'll get with him on this and say that I like seeing representations of that era in your life if you had it, where you would have those powerful emotions way out of proportion with how they should be, and then before you become a bitter old man,
But you like that stuff more. Did this ring truer to you?
Like I like the little twist they have with the cannibalism. Honestly, it was more of a romantic comedy drama than it was what you would call horror. You can call it gross out, but like, as a cinemaphile, I've seen so much like what would you call it? Gory films that like it didn't faze me. I just was like, okay, nice little twist. I get it.
Yeah.
Just give me love. I want the love parts.
Whoa.
Why is
More
there-
love, less.
Why
gore?
is the mom there? Don't even have the mom make her like, hey, I love you, man. That's cool. It's fine. I'd rather have.
You want less conflict.
the mom says I
I
love
would
you,
love.
man?
I would love no conflict. I would love the conflict being maybe the relationship's a little rocky at some point, which it happens in this film. But just give me the love. I love love.
What'd you think of the Mark Rylance character Sully?
The braided hair guy.
Yeah.
That's Sully.
He was cool. Honestly,
I
I
agree.
thought there'd be more of him. I think they probably used the right amount. Like I was
Interesting. Yeah.
I kept thinking I'd see him like, oh, he's at the fair. Oh, he's at the this and the that.
Yeah.
But he shows up in the beginning, is gone for like the entire second act,
It was.
and then shows up like right at the beginning of the third act.
So I got a question for you. Kind of what they did with Pearl. Should they do a Sully movie like before
prequel?
this one?
Does it take place in the 30s?
Sure.
Because it is in the 80s, not now.
So you would want a Sully movie in the 30s?
I would like that. I wouldn't mind it. I guess. I don't. Again, I didn't like.
It's a strong character. Like I think
Yeah.
it could carry a movie if you wanted it to.
He's cool.
I do feel like I was watching the less interesting characters in this world when I was watching these two run around, and I'd be down for like a Bones and All cinematic universe.
Oh yeah, let's go.
I want to give me a world where social media exists and these fools can link up and have conventions, kind of like that. You like remember the Sandman where they have like the serial killer convention. Shit like that always works for me.
Okay.
Yes, I'm going the other way. I want modern, and I want
You want to go the
awesome.
other way.
Yeah, I want a current year cannibals.
But you
are
can't
running around.
have Sully then.
I don't care about Sully. I like just love the creeps.
Okay.
Give me some new. I have faith in their creeps. If Sully was the only good creep, I'd be like, that was a fluke.
Oh, you think we're gonna get some new creeps?
I want some new creeps.
Wow.
All the creep, that
Okay.
fucking cop who was like a groupie for the cannibals. That shit is fucking banana
Oh, that's David
crazy.
Gordon Green who directed Halloween Ends.
They spiced those motherfuckers in for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like I said, they show you this just a glimpse into this world.
Yeah.
And I am into this world. It's a less is more approach. I get it.
Yeah.
I respect the choices. I'm not mad at it. But man, just throw me into this world of creeps. Give me a Friday the 13th, the series, where it's just every week is a different creep. Little tales from the creep zone.
Did you guys like the music in this one?
I have a sad story.
Oh,
I have a sad
it's
announcement.
the sad one.
It's sad for me.
All right, hit me with it.
So I was like, okay, like the if you watch the movie, the soundtrack's like 80s music. There's like a New Order song. There's
Yeah,
80s,
your silent face.
new 80s Kiss.
Lick it up.
Yeah.
Enjoy Division.
Just walk away.
Oh, that's right.
Atmosphere.
Okay. So that's playing, right? And like in my mind, I'm like, okay, there's 80s soundtrack. That's fine. The very end, I didn't think about who was singing because I don't really listen. I didn't think about it because I don't listen to the band
Yeah.
of this guy's. I don't listen to anything that he puts out.
Okay.
It starts playing as an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And then I just hear a voice. I'm like, oh, it's like that's like okay song. I don't know what the fuck this is.
Yeah, the song's called "You Made It Feel Like Home."
I thought it was some deep cut song that I just never thought of before in my life. And then like I'm sitting through the credits and it goes, Trent Reznor, you made it feel like. I'm like, oh fuck. I
got Rez'd.
It's not like I went in my car and listened to that song ever again, but I was more or less like sad that they didn't end it with an 80s song. They made it end with a Trent Reznor song that made me went, oh, this is cool.
I had to just double check my mind because I liked the soundtrack, not a score.
Like the score is like the original material made for the movie, which they did a ton.
What do they call the songs that are just put in? And
then the songs that they put in, that's just they're considered like needle drops or syncs.
You're too insider industry. There has to be a better word for it than
the
syncs.
Whole thing. Well, and then like I guess I mean
the music.
The music.
The music.
Go with needle drops then.
Okay.
If you want to be.
Anyways,
cool.
the score, the proper score, the not New Order songs. It was really good. I thought like all this sparse guitar stuff was really appropriate, and it made me really realize that Trent Reznor just needs to shut the fuck up because he does have a good musical mind. I fucking hate Nine Inch Nails because I like a lot of like Nitzer Ebb and KMFDM and shit. Like I like a lot of stuff that's like Nine Inch Nails. But Nine Inch Nails is atrocious to me. And I think it's just because that fucking guy, the whole fucking like, I wanted everything. Like, again, talk about having no interest in teenagers. That's like a teenager who happens to be in his 50s just singing Galaxy Brain. I can like step away from like my personal taste and be like, wow, that's really impressive. And yeah, so I think if he just shuts the fuck up and, you know, does like sparse electronic stuff, sparse acoustic guitar stuff. There are elements in Nine Inch Nails music that I like, but I realize it's completely trumped when I was a part of you. Like when that kicks in, I'm like, I can't remotely take this seriously. So yeah, the score was great, but again, it was just a little too like, I'm singing and this is a song and it's a serious song.
You gave me your bones and all.
You eat my body alive. I have your teeth marks in me.
And your teeth gnashed in my soul.
I can't do his yelling voice. I can only do I was a...
That's the only. That's better than the yelling voice.
If I have to do the yelling voice, I'm out. I can only do... Steen, you what do you got? You've been too quiet.
I agree that it was too many movies in one. And... I'm kind of bummed. Like, they could have done something really interesting if they hadn't made it a love story. Like, just make it two teenagers or whatever, young adults who meet up and they're both kind of new, but one of them's a little better at it. Like a Thelma and Louise sort of deal or something like that, where there's not that romantic aspect. It's just about people finding out.
If Timothée Chalamet's a girl.
Yeah.
And they just
the dynamic is different. It's just two kids trying to figure out the world and this new stuff that's happening to them.
You know what it becomes? The far superior road trip movie, Wizards, starring
yeah, dude.
And they go to play Super Mario Brothers 3 at Universal Studios.
Fred Savage, right? Yeah,
fucking A.
Along the way, and they have this conflict, you know, of like one of them wants to do one thing and one of them wants to do the other, but they still are friends because they have sort of grown up together or something.
Trauma bonded.
Yes, and that makes more sense to me than forcing this romantic aspect of it, because it's not romantic. They're just two people who happen to be in the same place at the same time. They're not in love.
Right.
Like, they're just there.
Circumstantial.
Yeah, and so it you don't buy that they can't live without each other because they're in love. It's just, no, they just are like attached, not in a romantic way, but they're pretending that it's romance, you know?
Right.
They just don't want to be alone, and so they're together. It's not romantic. So it should have just been two people who are becoming friends because they're in the same situation. So when they have conflict, you're having an issue with your friend, not like, they can't be together because he ate his dad or whatever.
Right.
Just like, there's just a friend of yours and you don't know that much about him, and then they tell you and you're like, man, that doesn't matter to me. We're pals.
I'm so with this. And it's a casting issue because if you have Timothée Chalamet's pretty ass, you're not going to believe that a teenage girl is roaming the countryside with him and not having some romantic fling. So
do you think that's why they tossed in the allusions to drug abuse? So like he has a flaw that justify her walking away?
I mean,
Walk away.
I just think if you have two pretty people, they're gonna start fucking each other. But if you make them, just make them two girls, make them two boys. Just have it be like a platonic friendship. Again, I'm not gonna buy that you have a boy and a girl that age
I was
traveling around
hoping-
and that they're not gonna fuck. So I get that part.
I was hoping the scene after the carnival or the scene at the carnival when he's like eyeing that carny.
Yeah.
And then when they go in the woods or the corn, I was like, oh, this is okay. He's gay. That
That
fixes
makes it
this.
a good movie.
But then it doesn't because
don't.
then they like backtrack on all that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you could have gone somewhere interesting.
I'm with you so
know?
much on this. I was this is why we need collaboration, because I'm thinking just leave it all out.
Yeah.
Just show me cannibals. Just make it a 90-minute movie with people eating each other. But no, you're right. They should just be platonic friends.
Yeah.
It's the romance part.
That doesn't
And it
work.
doesn't. Yeah, they should have Rogue One'd it.
But I did like that there were like little things that were kind of little hints of stuff. Like when she first meets Sully and he's like, come on in. He's like, I smelled you from the yard.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but it's the middle of the night when I was in the yard. And then they go inside and he's all, it seemed like you were hungry, you know. I found these birds in the freezer. It's like, what do you mean you found birds in the freezer? You don't really think that much about it, but it's
Right.
like, what do you mean he found birds in the freezer? And then she's like looking around and it's all decor that is not matching this guy.
Yeah.
She's like, who lives here? And you realize that he just wandered into this woman's house. And that's why he didn't know what was in the refrigerator. You know?
All the technical elements as far as like how they shot everything, and
Mhm.
it was like amazing. Like I thought that was so well done. Tasteful.
And something that I realized early on, and then I was trying to like watch for, is that everybody, like all the vampire people, the cannibal people, have like a blemish on their face.
All right.
So like she has like a little discoloration that's maybe like a birthmark, and then Chalamet has a scar on his face. Sully has a scar on his face. The backcountry guys, you know, out
Right.
there, they have scars
mark,
too.
yeah.
Everybody has a mark.
I think,
on them.
yeah.
Like Chloe Sevigny or whatever she is too, and that part is less interesting than it should be. Also,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a throwaway line where she says she ate her hands, and it's like, can you do that? Can you eat your hand? Where did she eat her hands?
Sure.
I thought for a
sure.
moment in that part that they were gonna say that her dad was actually the cannibal. And I think that was another missed opportunity that
Right,
would have
right.
made that more interesting. And so maybe he ate her hands and she was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. But see, there were like parts of it where I'm like, man, you guys had something, and then you dropped the ball or you wrote around it to try to fit in this other thing. And I think it was a missed opportunities, but overall it was cool. Like the cannibalism stuff, and like you were talking about the lore that you just kind of hear about here and there. That's neat. But all the sitting in a field, a lot of that is really annoying. And I liked his sister.
Right,
She was
right.
the Cyndi Lauper
Yeah.
fan.
Rad. Yeah.
That was cool.
It's funny you mentioned the cornfield, and it reminded me of a text my dad sent me. I don't think he's aware that we're doing a movie review podcast, but he sent me a random movie review, and it gave me insight as to maybe how I look at films, and I'm kind of mad about it. I'm going to read it to you. He says, A Quiet Place, the dumbest movie ever made. Corn in a silo doesn't swallow people like quicksand. The monsters are blind and attack what they hear, yet there is AC electricity. It's day 472 in Attack of the Audio Killer Monsters, but there is a stand of tall green corn about 100 days since planting in perfect rows in a 40-plus acre field. Only cerebrally challenged city people could make such a ridiculous movie. My dad lived on a cornfield when he was a child.
That is I'm sorry, Brent, but that is this is your
I inherited it, didn't I?
You need to like internalize this lesson, because that would be your review of The Quiet Place. Corn doesn't grow like that.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, but what about like the cinematography and the character development and the guys? Corn. Okay, here's the thing with corn and silos. Okay.
Let me show you. I have created a diorama featuring the perfect ratio of corn to silo. Now watch what happens when I put my finger there. See that? It doesn't sink.
I rest my case. This movie's bad.
Boom, this movie sucks dick.
Okay, so bones and all, are we taking a bite? Are we sinking our teeth into this film, or are we gonna go vegan and get a plant-based alternative?
You could eat it, bones and all. Remember when they were like,
Yeah,
they were like, did you ever eat? Well, I don't know what they call it. And they're like, what? When you eat the whole body, bones and all.
Yeah. That's so cool. And I love that there's just people who just make shit up in this. This is why like the first Hellraiser movie is like one of my all-time favorite movies, because you get a glimpse into this fucking world, and that's all they give you is this weird little keyhole look into this fucking strange universe. And like, of course, if you're all like spread apart, different regions are gonna have weird fucking cultures of doing things. It's so well done in that regard. But anyways, are we sinking our teeth in, or are we going plant-based? Me, I'm taking a big old chomp. I'm chomping it in. I'm hunched over. I'm taking a chew on this one.
Ew.
Ew.
I don't know, because I would not want to eat a person.
Do you understand the exercise?
I do,
We
but
don't
I
have to
wouldn't
really
want
eat
to
a
say
person.
that. I know, but I think the good one would be the plant-based.
Yeah.
No, they can't do that. He would die because it wouldn't be substantive to your cannibal needs.
Yeah,
They
you're
didn't-
hungry. They were
No,
hungry
they
for
weren't
flesh.
like, it's not like vampires where they can't eat food and they have to drink blood. It's like they can eat food. They're eating pancakes or whatever. And
Yeah, but they have a craving.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it is. is
Yeah,
they have a
that's why she's
craving.
like, hey, I'm hungry, and then they ate that carny man.
Yeah. So it's like, you just don't eat it.
So anyways, did you like it?
But yeah, I liked it. Go watch it.
So when they quick note, when they were filming this movie, they were filming in like really, kind of bombed out and depleted places. They're filming in
right.
Cincinnati, and the crew kept getting robbed to the point where the city of Cincinnati had to like throw down, I think it was like $50,000 plus, just to like kind of solidify the production so that people couldn't get in and steal everybody's stuff. So yeah, I would throw down for extra security on this one. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I thought it was acted well, shot well, and directed well. I'll give it a chomp.
Yeah.
Okay, so our third and final period piece of this episode, we're doing a film called Devotion. This was a true story about Jesse Brown, a Navy pilot. It was in the Korean War, and he was, I assume, the first black Navy pilot, and he was celebrated. And this is his story as told from magical Caucasian Joe Jonas, his loyal friend. I hated this film. I really didn't like it. I don't want to take up too much time.
Damn,
It's-
hate is a strong
No,
word.
it is a strong word, because I think any portrayal of war or a war movie, like a war film, if you are doing anything other than showing it as just a complete unrelenting hell, like of trauma and torment and gore and misery, it becomes propaganda. If you're showing a war film and it's just a bunch of buddies hanging out in Paris and becoming brothers and comrades and bonding, you are making propaganda. And this to me is nothing but nationalistic, imperialist propaganda. And you know what I was thinking of? That movie, Dunkirk. Did you ever see that? Remember I was like shit talking the trailer forever?
Well, because we saw the trailer forever.
Yeah.
We kept fucking showing the trailer.
That's what I remember.
I watched that movie like randomly. But that movie's amazing. And it's like, I don't remember anything about it.
That's
as far
Christopher
as
Nolan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember the characters. I don't remember the plot. I just remember basically 2 hours of walking through trenches of dead bodies and gore and like brutality and trauma. And it was like, okay, that's a responsible war film that is like kind of showing the reality of the matter. This shit is, I don't know. I feel a little candy coated for my taste. I'm actually offended. Like, I didn't realize this. I can watch all these, off-color humor and gory, violent movies and be fine, but I'm really offended at, like, I don't know, promoting this kind of thing. It really leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And there's a way to do it, of course. There's a way to do it. You basically make, Apocalypse Now. You make, like, every, kind of classic war film. I think when you just make, like, wow, flying these old planes is cool. Look at them do loop-de-loops. It's like, that's fucking propaganda. There's no other way to put it.
No. I think
Yeah, I know. That soapbox off. You guys can say.
Well, I
nice
will
things
note
about it.
it's the same dad that hates disrespecting corn when he retired from the Air Force, the first thing he told my brother and I, he said, if you two little fuckers ever join the military, I'm disowning both of you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Talk to the kids of the parents who were in World War II and see how like well adjusted their parents were when they came back to the war.
Well, this wasn't World War II, and this
know.
wasn't a war movie. It's about a guy who is trying to be respected in a position that he's earned, where it's been harder for him than it has been for other people. It's overcoming, adversity, and that's what it's about. It's not propaganda. At no point, you don't even see a United States flag.
How do we have such a disparate take?
I have no idea. Like, I was watching a totally different movie, and
Wow.
and I am like not a Top Gun fan,
Right.
and I think that is like propaganda stuff where it's like, look how cool it is doing this. This is just like, this guy has to fly this plane. He's never flown this plane before. He's really scared to do it. He's trying to act tough, but it's a rough plane to fly. But he's like, I'm going to do it. A guy dies because he can't handle the airplane. They're having to learn it like super quickly. And there is like plane stuff showing them like fly around. But there's only one dogfight. The rest of it is just them practicing, basically. And so it's not like glorifying it or anything. It's just like, here's some guys and some planes. And they even like mention how removed they are from like being in the trenches. There's like these other people that are on the carrier that they're on. And those guys are going to be in the front lines. And they're like, you guys aren't even in the front lines. You guys are just up there in your planes. And you get that they're like removed from the more brutal aspects of the war. They're just kind of the help.
Right.
And so, they do show you like the guys that are down there taking bullets and all that stuff. But they also show you that this is not those guys fight. And so, it does talk about that. The only time that they are seeing that is when the wounded soldiers are coming onto the carrier and they're like, oh, dang, what's it like? They don't know what it's like. They just know what their job is. And so I wouldn't say like I super enjoyed it. It's just like you're just watching, what these people are doing. It was fine. It was a fine movie. And this guy who, he did a remarkable thing, like you see Time Magazine trying to be like, hey, look, there's this black guy, and he's like not having it. But at the same time, there's the black sailors that are, coming out and watching him and being like all proud of him and stuff, or just for being there, and for putting up with all that stuff and still like making his way in that world. It doesn't end well for him,
Right.
but that's just how it is. He doesn't even die in some majestic flag waving way. It's just like there is a problem with his plane. Okay, well, he got shot out of the sky and he blew up. No, he was able to land the plane. He just got stuck.
It was super cold out.
Yeah, and it was cold.
The conditions
and he was
were
bloody.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was in a bad mood or something. I'm like just such a complete fucking hippie at this point. Like, I cannot stand war. It's fucking horrifying to me,
All right, so I didn't catch this flick. Dylan, break the it's not even a tie.
No,
Break the conflict here. Was it propaganda or was it not propaganda?
I didn't get the propaganda vibe. It's not like at some point they're like, hey, we have to recruit more people to join this military. It's more like it's post World War II, right?
Right.
He says, I just wanted to help, but we were too late, whatever. We're here now. I get what you mean by like sending young people out to war and stuff. But I think that guy just kind of chose to do that because he's like, no one wanted me to be here. Like, I'm just here now. I don't know. Again, I didn't see it as propaganda or anti anything. I just kind of saw it like, oh, here's a story of a guy that actually lived. I don't know. There's more offensive movies that you're talking about out there.
Oh, yeah.
I just didn't get that vibe.
That's just a ideological or philosophical approach. But I'm realizing this about myself. That's just my baseline approach. I don't want to see, I mean, fucking whatever. If it's G.I. Joe, if we're going to war in space and there's fucking snake people, fine. But that's just it. Tell that fucking story.
I'm really glad that you didn't go to the greatest beer run ever or whatever. Like
Yeah.
you would, oh my God. Because not only was it like excessively long, it started out as like a very pro-military thing and then it kind of turned on it. So you might have liked the ending. But anyway.
And in terms of just a movie, I felt it was kind of like boring.
I mean,
don't know.
it's a little bit boring, but that's a drama.
Yeah, I know.
Or
This is
it's
something
kind of
for
boring.
like older men, right?
I mean, the ticket tearing guy was an
You
old
fucking-
man, and he was like, "That's a good one." We went up there.
Yeah.
That impression was awesome. Fuck yeah.
It's like, why would you even make films? It's because you're telling stories about people, and this is a person, and they made a movie about it, and it was fine.
All right. I'm being weird about it, is what I'm getting.
You're being weird.
Okay. Anyways, I hated this fucking movie. I don't like it. Are we enlisting or are we dropping out? I'm dropping out. I'm a conscientious objector. Justine, are you enlisting or are you a conscientious objector?
I think the movie was fine, and Jonathan Majors is great, so he's
All
good.
right.
Which one's Jonathan Major?
The main guy,
Oh, okay.
King.
Huh?
King.
Oh,
Or
okay.
not King yet. We don't
Oh,
know. He's
Sorry.
yeah. He's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, his face on the poster. We don't
Yeah.
know if that's King.
He's also
don't
gonna,
know.
He's also gonna fight Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah. It was well acted. It was fine. It was fine.
It was fine.
Thought it was shot well. It looked good, and I think it was greatly acted. 5 out of 5.
How was it directed? Directed okay?
No, directed well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know, the director did my favorite horror show of all time, 2-sentence horror stories.
Oh,
Watch
nice.
that. It's great.
Yeah, he did 2 episodes, so he's a legend.
Yes.
All right.
Hey, Brent.
Yeah.
Yeah, any breaking news?
So aggressive.
Yes, I do. In fact, have breaking news. We've been covering the mess at Warner Brothers Discovery and DC. It continues on. It was revealed earlier in the week that Wonder Woman 3 was scrapped. It's since been reported that it was actually director Patty Jenkins who walked away after rejecting notes that the studio gave her on her treatment for the film. Did you guys hear about this?
I
No.
did not.
Did she
Yeah.
do 1 and 2?
Yes, she did.
Mm.
So, yeah, I would think after you turned in 1984.
Yeah.
You getting some fucking notes.
Yeah.
I got some fucking notes for you, Pat.
Hit it with the notes.
1, you were good. 2, well, 1, you were good till that fucking
the end.
the PlayStation 2 fight, but whatever, Patty Jenkins, and you shit the bed on 2 in a big way. So
It sounded like, yeah, like it maybe could have stayed on the docket, but because she just said, nah, I'm not going to take any notes on this and walked, they're like, all right, fine. Bye, Wonder Woman.
But Gal Gadot is the star of that show. She really does a good job as that character. I don't think the directing is particularly. I mean, respect to what she did with the first movie, at least. Like that was great, especially compared to everything else in that DC world up until then. But get a different director. Why is it so fucking?
It's almost like it's
How-
really chaotic over there.
Yeah,
because,
I don't know why this is the one movie that's like bigger than. The director is bigger than the character.
They
I
have
don't know
to, at
either.
this point, with what they're canceling left and right, they're like, if this isn't exactly what we're talking about,
Yeah, I guess.
just get rid of
yeah,
it.
to use your phrase, if this isn't on rails, we don't need it. You
We're
know what I mean?
selling toys here. Like, what do we give a shit about?
Yeah. To keep with the chaos, after reinstating Henry Cavill as Superman, all plans for more Man of Steel films have been shelved.
Yeah.
Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is now going to be the last installment in the Jason Momoa as Aquaman era
All right.
of that because he is going to be recast as Lobo. Did you hear about that?
So he's stuck in the DCEU, but
Yes, they can't find another buff guy. It's like Lobo's whole thing is just a parody of an action hero. Put fucking Vin Diesel as Lobo. Put fucking anybody as Lobo. You just need a strong, dumb guy. Why are they fucking... He's got
Well,
a
they-
slot already. He's already
Yeah.
taken...
They messed up.
They messed up.
They should have just
What?
put someone else as Aquaman and made him like Aquaman. Made Aquaman like Aquaman so they could save Momoa for Lobo.
Yeah, or put Lobo in earlier or something.
I don't know.
It's like things are really chaotic over there.
It's almost like it's a mess because Black Adam 2 has been shelved in spite of Dwayne Johnson leading a very weird online campaign this past week where he's trying to push the narrative that it was happening and taking I would say he took like a stop the steal approach, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Where he's like trying to maintain that like the box
movie is
office numbers.
happening? Okay.
So he's trying to like will it into existence. The studio said, no, we're not doing Black Adam 2 because every expert is saying you're probably going to lose at least $100 million on this movie.
Jesus, really?
Like, yeah, everybody is saying that, but except Dwayne. Dwayne is online being like, no, you don't understand how box office receipts work. He's telling the experts this.
I think I'm saying that it's making money. I'm on his side on this one. That was such a crowd pleaser. You'd think that would be. That sucks when you make a movie like really dumb and it still doesn't work.
Well,
you know,
it's so funny. Like he went into all caps angry. Like over this past week, he said this is going to profit all caps $52 to $72 million. That's his estimate based on nothing.
Jeez.
The experts again are saying at least $100 million loss after you factor in all the marketing and all the
Maybe
expenditures.
he's
and
profiting 72 million. Maybe that's what he's confused with.
Yeah, that
Did
could be
you take into
exactly
account
what it
the
is.
Under Armour deal that I made?
Yeah.
I'm doing great.
But you'll be pleased to know that they are considering a Hawkman spinoff.
I'll fuck with that. I don't mind these movies. I think that the casting, Superman and Wonder Woman was good casting.
Yeah.
I
They're
think
both
so.
good.
Yeah.
They have not given them a good script yet.
No.
No, Wonder Woman was like as good as you could hope for. But man, that second movie was fucking boring,
It was. It
confused.
felt really different. That's why I was asking if she did the
Yeah.
first two, because it's like this seems like it can't have been the same person, right?
You remember that
was.
shit? That was like supposed to be such a ray of joy.
Yeah.
I am offended. You were talking about being offended by
That was
like,
gonna
I
kill
am
COVID. It was gonna make COVID.
offended.
Yeah,
big.
okay, guys. It's Christmas Eve. This whole new like blockbusters are coming straight to streaming. This is an early adopter to it. Everyone huddle around. We're watching Wonder Woman 2, and it's in the 80s. This is fucking Kristen Wiig is in this. This is
Yeah.
gonna rock.
Yeah.
And it was like, when did you have to admit to yourself that this was a bad movie you were
Oh, in
watching?
the beginning when she's just running around through like an obstacle course.
Oh God, I forgot about I thought it opened at the mall. The mall scene was cool, and it didn't
Yeah.
start with the mall. It started with
No, it started with the obstacle
her doing
course.
Superman 64. Yeah, in 64 flying obstacle race type beat.
Yes.
The whole first like 20 minutes. Oh my God.
Yeah, it let you know right away. And then I can't even talk about the scene where she's saving a little girl.
Oh
That
my
scene
god.
Where the building blows up.
Yeah.
This seems like more of this movie stuck with you than it did with me, because this was like an
Yeah, 'cause
etch a
it was
sketch. Like I
really-
watched this film, was just like gone. But we like Gal Gadot Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
right.
funny and she does a good job. She tried hard.
Yeah, but I feel bad for these let them.
She had a bad month. Wasn't that the same month where she tried to do that Imagine cover?
Ooh,
Yeah, that was rough too.
I mean, at least that was a ensemble cast.
Anyway, Warner Brothers Discovery DC still on fire. Dylan, take us on out.
Hey guys, thank you for listening to this week's episode of Regal Movie Masters Unlimited. Join us next week when we watch Avatar 2, Waterworld, and Strange World. Two worlds collide in the Disney universe. Who knows what's going to happen next? Anyway, see you in the theaters. Bye!